Picture this. You're sitting at the kitchen table, early on a Tuesday morning, a cup of tea going cold beside you. A letter arrives from Services Australia. You open it, and right there in black and white, it tells you that because of your superannuation balance, money you saved your whole working life, your age pension has been reduced. Or worse, you owe them money. That's not a made-up story. That's exactly what happened to Gary and Bev, a couple from Rockhampton in Queensland. Gary had done everything right. He retired at 67 with $550,000 in super. He was proud of that. He should have been. But nobody told him that the moment he turned 67, Centrelink would automatically pull his superannuation data from the ATO and count every single dollar as an asset. He thought his super wasn't counted until he actually withdrew it. He was wrong. 12 months later, he was staring down a $12,000 debt. Now here's why I need you to stay with me through this entire video. Because there's another layer to this story that almost nobody talks about. It's called the asset taper rate. And it means that for some Australians, people who did everything right, who saved diligently, having more super can actually leave you with less total income in retirement. I'm going to explain exactly how that works, what the current 2026 thresholds are, and what's about to change on the 1st of July that could affect your entitlements starting in just days. Stay with me. G'day Australia, I'm James Walker, and welcome back to Aussie Pension Watch, Australia's independent guide to everything age pension. Whether you're approaching 67 and starting to think about this for the first time, or you've been on the pension for a few years and want to make sure you're not missing out, this video is for you. Over the years, I've helped thousands of Australians understand how their superannuation and their age pension interact. And the gap between what most people assume and what actually happens is enormous. Today, I want to close that gap for you. Specific numbers, real rules, no jargon, no fear. If this channel has helped you, or someone in your family who's trying to work out their retirement entitlements, do me a small favor and hit the subscribe button right now and tap the little bell so you get notified every week. We put out fresh pension updates every single week, so whenever Services Australia changes a rate or a threshold, you'll hear it from us first. It costs you nothing, and it could genuinely save you thousands. Now let me give you the big picture of why this matters so much right now. According to Services Australia, approximately 63% of Australians over the age of 67 receive either a full or part age pension. That's a lot of people. And yet, research consistently shows that 1 in 3 eligible Australians are either receiving less than they're entitled to, or they've made a reporting error that's created a debt they never expected. The most common reason? Misunderstanding how superannuation is assessed. Not little misunderstandings, big ones, the kind that cost real money over real years. From the 20th of March 2026, the maximum single-age pension, including all supplements, sits at $1,200.90 per fortnight. For a couple combined, that's $1,810.40 per fortnight. Those are the official figures confirmed by the Department of Social Services. And right now, there are Australians all across the country, in Townsville and Toowoomba, in Ballarat and Bendigo, in the suburbs of Perth and the outer edges of Adelaide, who are receiving less than that maximum, not because they don't qualify, but because their superannuation is being assessed in ways they didn't fully understand when they first applied. So let's fix that. Here's the first thing I want you to understand, and this one catches more people off guard than almost anything else I cover on this channel. It doesn't matter whether your superannuation is sitting in an accumulation account, that's the standard account you've been building up your whole working life, or whether you've moved it into a formal retirement income stream. Once you reach age pension age, which is currently 67 for everyone born after the 1st of January 1957, Centrelink counts your super balance as an assessable asset. Full stop, no exceptions. That's the law under the Social Security Act 1991, and it's confirmed clearly on the Services Australia website. This is exactly what caught Gary out in Rockhampton. He'd heard somewhere, maybe from a mate at the RSL club, maybe from something he half read years ago, that super in the accumulation phase was protected or exempt. It used to be partially true for people under pension age, but once you hit 67, that protection disappears completely. Centrelink links directly with the ATO, and your fund reports your balance automatically. If your balance goes up, your assessable assets go up. If your balance changes and you don't update Centrelink within 14 days, you can end up being overpaid, and that becomes a debt you have to pay back, every cent of it. Now here's where the asset test thresholds come in, because this is where the numbers really matter. As of this recording in June 2026, if you're a single homeowner, meaning you own your own home, you can have up to $321,500 in total assets and still receive the full maximum pension. That's $321,500. And your part pension doesn't cut out entirely until your assets reach $722,000. For a couple who owns their home, the full pension threshold is $481,500, and the part pension cuts out at $1,085,000. If you don't own your home, if you're renting privately or living in a retirement village on a rental arrangement, those thresholds are higher because Centrelink recognizes you need more assets to cover housing costs. For a single non-homeowner, you can hold up to $579,500 and still get the full pension. Now pay attention to this next part, because this is where the system gets genuinely counterintuitive. Here's how the taper rate works. For every $1,000 your total assets exceed that lower threshold, the full pension threshold, Centrelink reduces your fortnightly pension by $3. $3 per fortnight per $1,000 over. That might sound small when you say it like that, but let's work through what it actually means. Take Margaret, 69, from Geelong. She owns her home and has $250,000 in super, plus $30,000 in savings. So total assessable assets of $280,000. That's comfortably under the $321,500 threshold for a single homeowner. She gets the full pension, $1,200.90 every fortnight. Now imagine her neighbor, Keith, same age, same suburb, also a single homeowner. But Keith was a bit more disciplined. He saved $550,000 in super and has a bit in savings, bringing his total assets to $580,000. That's $258,500 over the lower threshold. Multiply that by $3 per thousand, and Centrelink cuts his pension by $775.50 per fortnight. He receives around $425 per fortnight instead of $1,200.90. He saved significantly more than Margaret. But because of how the taper interacts with his total assets, his total retirement income, pension plus whatever he draws from Super I could actually be lower than hers depending on how he structures his withdrawals. This is what experts sometimes call the retirement trap. And it's not a fault of the person. It's a feature of how the two systems, superannuation and the age pension, interact in Australia. The point isn't that saving more is bad. Please don't hear that. The point is that understanding where you sit relative to these thresholds matters enormously for your planning, because there are strategies, perfectly legal, Centrelink-approved strategies, that can help you structure things more efficiently. But you can't use those strategies if you don't know this trap exists. If you're finding this helpful, please take a second and drop a comment below, even just a word or two saying this landed for you. It genuinely signals to YouTube to show this video to more Australian seniors who need this information, and I read every single comment personally. This community matters to me. Now let me talk about deeming, because this is the second mechanism that surprises people. And honestly, it surprised a lot of Australians back in March 2026 when the rates were updated. Deeming is how Centrelink calculates the income your financial assets, including your Super I, are assumed to be earning. I want to say that word again. Assumed. Centrelink doesn't look at what your super fund actually returned last year. They don't care if the market dropped 15% or if your fund had a rough patch. They apply a fixed deemed rate to your balance and count that as your income for the income test. As of the 20th of March 2026, those rates are 1.25% on balances up to $64,200 for a single person, and $106,200 for a couple to Y, and 3.25% on everything above that. So if you're a single person with, say, $300,000 in super and savings, Centrelink applies 1.25% to the first $64,200 and 3.25% to the remaining $235,800. The total deemed income from that $300,000 is roughly $8,550 per year, whether your fund actually earned that or not. In early 2026, when markets were volatile, there were thousands of Australians whose super balances actually went backwards. Their fund earned 0 or less, but Centrelink still deemed them to have earned 3.25%. Their income test number stayed high, and their pension stayed lower than it should have felt, given what was actually happening to their savings. That's the deeming sting. See, this is the system working exactly as designed, which is cold comfort when it's affecting your weekly budget. But knowing about it means you can plan around it, and planning around it starts with knowing your numbers. Here's exactly what I want you to do this week. 5 steps. Write these down or screenshot this part of the video. Step 1. Check your current superannuation balance. Log into your Superfunds app or website today, not next month, today, and get your exact current balance. You need this number to understand where you sit relative to the asset thresholds I've described. If your funds app isn't clear, call them directly. Every fund has a member services line. Step 2. Log into MyGov at my.gov.au and check what balance Centrelink currently has on record for you. You'll find this under your Centrelink profile linked to your MyGov account. Look at the Assets section. If the number is wrong, outdated, higher or lower than your actual current balance, you have a legal obligation to update it within 14 days of the change. You can update it online through MyGov or by calling Services Australia's Older Australians line on 132 300. That's 132 300. Step 3. Review the 1st of July 2026 threshold changes. Now here's something genuinely important. On the 1st of July 2026, which is days away from when this video was made, the asset-free areas increase, and the transfer balance cap rises from $2 million to $2.1 million. If you are currently sitting just above a threshold and your part pension has been reduced or cut off, you may cross back into eligibility on the 1st of July without changing a thing. Call 132300 from the 2nd of July and ask them to reassess your entitlements under the new thresholds. Don't wait. Don't assume they'll do it automatically. Step 4. Call and book a free financial information service appointment. Most people have no idea this service exists. The Financial Information Service, the FISA, is a completely free service offered by Services Australia. These are specialists who can sit down with you, look at your specific super balance, your assets, your income, and walk you through how they interact with the pension. They don't give advice on what super fund to join or where to invest. That's for a licensed financial planner. But they can explain exactly how Centrelink sees your situation, and that knowledge alone is incredibly valuable. Book by calling 132300 and asking specifically for a financial information service appointment. Step 5. Update any estimates or projections in your Centrelink record before the end of financial year on the 30th of June, 2026. If you're still making concessional contributions to Superannuation, you can contribute up to $30,000 this financial year under the concessional cap. Make sure those are reported correctly. On the 1st of July, that cap rises to $32,500. Getting your reporting accurate before year-end protects you from unexpected overpayments. Now, before I close today, I want to say something that I think you need to hear. You worked your whole life for this country. You paid your taxes every year. You raised your families. You showed up to jobs that weren't always easy. You contributed to communities from Cairns to Hobart and everywhere in between. You built this country. The age pension, the superannuation system, these exist because of the work of generations like yours. Claiming what you're entitled to is not charity. It's not a handout. It is the return on a lifetime of contribution. Don't let a confusing letter from Centrelink or a complicated threshold calculation make you feel small for asking questions and making sure you receive every dollar you've earned. Now, of course, every situation is different, and what I share here is general information, not personal financial advice. For your specific circumstances, always speak with a financial information service officer at Centrelink. It's a free service most people don't even know exists, and they can walk through your individual situation with care. If this video helped you today, please hit the like button. It genuinely helps this channel reach more Australian seniors who need these updates. Subscribe if you haven't already, and share this with someone who's approaching retirement or who's already on the pension and might not know about the July 1st changes. Drop a comment below and let me know. Are you a homeowner or a renter? And did the taper rate surprise you? I read every comment and I'll try to reply to as many as I can. In the next video, I'm going to take you through the work bonus, how you can still earn up to $300 per fortnight from employment without it touching your pension income test, and a little-known method for banking unused work bonus credits. It's genuinely useful for people who want to ease into retirement rather than stop cold. That one's coming very soon. This is James Walker from Aussie Pension Watch. You've earned this, Australia. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.